We just got word from Tom Holland and Kevin Feige expressing their thoughts on the whole Sony Disney ordeal debacle, situation that's been going on for the past week, and it's been trending on Twitter too. And they've both finally decided to address that at the recent D23 conference that we got over the weekend. And I have more on that from this article. Even with all the new Marvel announcements at D23, there was no escaping the glare of Spider-Man's MCU exit. Sony and Disney were unable to reach terms for a new deal, and their acrimonious split became public this week. Spider-Man star Tom Holland and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige were both at D23, and they finally addressed Spider-Man's future head-on. Basically, we've made 5 great films, said Holland while speaking with EW. It's been 5 amazing years. I've had the time of my life. Who knows what the future holds? But all I know is that I'm going to continue playing Spider-Man and having the time of my life. It's going to be so fun, however we choose to do it. The future for Spider-Man will be different, but it will be equally as awesome and amazing, and we'll find new ways to make it even cooler. EW also got a few words from Kevin Feige, who was also extremely gracious about the whole situation. I'm feeling about Spider-Man gratitude and joy, said Feige. We got to make 5 films within the MCU with Spider-Man, 2 standalone films, and 3 with the Avengers. It was a dream that I never thought would happen, and it was never meant to last forever. We knew there was a finite amount of time that we'd be able to do this, and we told the story we wanted to tell, and I will always be thankful for that. For now, there doesn't appear to be much hope for Disney and Sony to come back together and make a new Spider-Man deal. But perhaps things may eventually cool down between the two sides. In the interim, Spider-Man Far From Home will be getting an extended re-release on Thursday, August 29th. So how do you guys feel about Tom Holland and Kevin Feige's remarks? And there you have it, guys. I gotta say, they handled it quite professionally, and it's no surprise, by the way. I mean, they're both professionals. Obviously, they do have feelings about this whole situation, but it's probably best to keep that to themselves, being that they don't want to get on Sony's bad graces, and especially Tom Holland. But it shows on Twitter, according to Twitter, that Tom Holland and even Zendaya unfollowed Sony because of the whole situation, and that's clear. Let's just hope Sony doesn't even notice. But I'm glad to see that Tom Holland is actually rather positive about it, yet still conflicted, but mostly positive, especially Kevin Feige, who he feels that Spider-Man is his favorite character. And to me, Spider-Man is my favorite character. And honestly, I feel the same way that Kevin Feige feels, where I would have never thought that Spider-Man would ever make an appearance in the MCU anytime soon, because Sony was holding that character very near and dear and close to them, because that character brings in the money, and it's bringing them all the money they need, and it's their biggest cash cow, and it's their most successful films, because Sony doesn't have exactly a great track record when it comes to films. Their movies don't make all that much money, but Spider-Man does the job. It's a franchise, and that's all they got going for them as far as films goes, because Sony owns the film rights. And this all started way back in the late 90s and mid 90s, where Marvel decided to sell off the characters to different studios to own the film rights. And then over time, they've started to transition over to Marvel Studios, where Marvel decided to open up their own studio and finance their own films. And slowly with time, a lot of the characters that were owned by different studios like Fox and Regency Films and Universal and Sony have slowly transitioned over to Marvel Studios, but unfortunately Spider-Man is leaving back out. And it's very unfortunate to see that, because Disney just recently acquired Fox, and that means the rights to Fantastic Four and the X-Men have already moved on over to Disney. And now they're Disney Marvel properties. And it's a real shame. Just when we had every single character under the same umbrella, one is getting taken out. And while the rest get to be together and basically have epic franchises. And it's honestly going to feel kind of hollow, because Spider-Man is one of the greatest superheroes of all time. And he's my favorite superhero of all time. The way I feel about the situation, and I've already expressed this before in my live stream with Evan Filarka, and I've expressed this in one of the videos I made for Spider-Man leaving the MCU. I honestly don't really have sympathy for both of them. I'm actually quite disappointed in both of them. And despite the fact that you probably saw me on Twitter liking a lot of the memes and a lot of the jokes that a lot of people are making about Sony and Disney and how they're treating the whole situation, it's still disappointing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do have a sense of humor and everything, but I'm rather saddened about the whole situation. Disappointed in both companies. Big, gigantic, like titans of companies, especially Disney. And you can say that Disney was being a little bit greedy about this, where they've decided to approach Sony and renegotiate and ask for half. But there's a lot of rumors going on that they were probably asking for 30%, 40%. But I think they went in to renegotiate for half. And Sony kind of caught like, cold feet and just decided to back out from that. And it's like, no, it sounds like a couple of children bickering and they can't make a decision. And then one child wants everything for his own while the other suffers. That's what it sounds like to me. Two immature children just completely complaining and bickering about who gets the biggest piece of the pie. And it's a real shame. And now we have to suffer, us the fans, in having to watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe expand continuously with one character still missing. And I think that character is essential to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in overall to Marvel Comics. Because if you've ever seen any Marvel comic poster ever, you see Spider-Man front and center because he's the greatest character of all time and he's Marvel's mascot. That'd be like removing Mickey Mouse from Walt Disney Studios. That's Disney's mascot. You can't do that. That's a character that's essential to the Disney brand. And whenever people think about Disney, they think about Mickey Mouse. And that's for sure. So whenever you think about Marvel, what comes to mind? What character comes to mind? Spider-Man. It's instinct. It's basic instinct, really. I mean, it's natural to think about that character. He's the face of Marvel. And Kevin Feige even mentioned it himself. Spider-Man is the greatest hero that ever lived. And he's the greatest hero of all time. And I couldn't agree with him more. And again, I am saddened by this whole deal. I really hope that they revisit this negotiation and come up with a new deal, because honestly, in the end, the only people that are suffering are the fans, while these two companies get to benefit over the character. Well, should I say actually Sony gets to benefit because they're making all the money and they didn't think about the fans. And it sucks to say this, but Spider-Man's out of the MCU. He's back with Sony. Well, anyways, those are my thoughts, and that's the input that I wanted to share. And also, that's basically what Kevin Feige and Tom Holland wanted to share about this whole ordeal. I hope you guys like this video. Please comment down below. What is it about Spider-Man that you're going to miss? Do you think Spider-Man will ever come back in a few years' time? What if the third iteration of Tom Holland's Spider-Man bombs and it doesn't do well? You think Sony and Disney will revisit the negotiating table and come up with a new plan and a new deal? You let me know. Anyways, all I can say is I hope for the best for Tom Holland and Spider-Man. It seems like the actor is really enthusiastic about playing the character, regardless if he's in the MCU or not. You can tell he's truly passionate about the character and he loves the character and he's having fun with it. And that's what really matters. And as long as he shows that and we keep that in our minds that, man, this guy really cares about the character, I'm sure the films will turn out okay for the most part. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so y'all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.